Hi friend, this is Pat Sloan for my fireside chat version of the magical Quilty May daily challenges, my daily videos. So we're first going to talk about what the challenge is. We'll do that part first, since on Monday night we're here, we can settle in, we can visit for a little bit longer. So we'll do the chat first, the challenge first, and then I'll just talk about some other stuff that are going on. It's just some answer a question that came up. Yeah. So what is our challenge for today? It is the 18th. I just can't believe it's the 18th of May already. And it is Candid Camera. Did you love that show? I did. I watched it. I had to go look some up now. There must be some on YouTube that we can watch. Candid Camera. So what is Candid Camera today? What is your challenge today? I want you to share a picture, and if you are not on my Facebook Quilt Along with Pat Sloan group, then leave a comment here and just tell me about it. But tell me about, or show me a picture of a quilt that you, quilt photo, let's get it together, a photo of a quilt that you took in a really interesting, fun place. Like you took you had the quilt with you and you took it at the Grand Canyon, or you took, a quilt that was at a wedding hanging, because that's special. Wherever, at the baseball field, at Disney. I had one that I took when I was visiting my brother, the Glow quilt that I took down, and he lives by the mangroves. He has a mangrove reserve, a small reserve right by their home, and it has walking paths. So we went out there and hung the quilt up, and it's got these gorgeous palm trees behind it. So that's probably one of my favorites. Have you taken your quilt on vacation? Take a picture of it on your hotel bed. So if you've never taken a picture of your quilt in some place interesting, just show one of it in your home, just show a picture, But I think if you have not taken your quilt, people call it in the wild. Take a photo in the wild. They'll actually take their quilts on vacation with them so they can take a photo. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to have that memory of your quilt, particularly if maybe you were doing your binding on your trip, something like that. So that's your challenge. All right, you can do it. To get the other things so I don't forget them, because I don't want to forget, rainbow blocks, green, imagine that, we're still on green. So I've got the little children fabric, the playground fabric that I had, the same one for the stay-at-home quilt. I just had to use it again. It is so darn cute. And let's see, I have some polka dots, and I found this word fabric, this text fabric, and it says things like show grace, be humble, keep it simple, choose joy. I love that. I think it was part of a line, and that was one of the I don't remember what line. Sorry. And so and then the third one for today, because I had to have three, is the pineapple Greg's shirt that I cut up. I think a lot of this pineapple shirt is going to go in this rainbow quilt. So those are my blocks. And then the other thing I want to do before I forget is my Let It Go item, because yesterday I forgot to get one. I forgot all about it. So I found some peel and stick ruler. It's a ruler tape, so if you want to mark something so that you can use it like the edge of a table if you need to measure. So I've had this. You can see I opened it to see what it was like, and it's neat, but I'm finding that I am not using it. So that's going to go in the bag, the Let It Go bag. And then for some reason I have 4 sets of pretty much the same kind of pins. One's a little bit different. These don't have a white head on them. And then I think this might be a smaller size. And then I do believe these two may be exactly the same. So at least one of these is going. I'll probably do this one because I like this case better. Then I have to look and see, do I really need these guys? I don't know. Let's see, maybe Greg wants them for his stuff. He's been working on organizing his garage. So maybe he thinks he needs that. We'll see. So those are all of my basics here. I wanted to get rid of. I wanted to be sure I didn't forget to do any of that. Okay. So I put an article out to show the next Block Wednesday, the free mystery Block Wednesday that comes after Childhood Games. And it will be, where is it? Going on a picnic. Going on a picnic. So that is using a fat quarter bundle and a border fabric, sashing fabric, background fabric. And so you get a bundle of fabric and you won't use every piece of it, but it's nice working fabric. It's 12 weeks. The layout, I don't give you the directions yet, but I will, like in the first block, give you the directions. But there's a layout. So you see what we're doing. It's really nice and simple for the summer. Easy breezy summer sewing. Also on that page, I have the information about, for June, our underlying theme for June challenge is quilting your own quilt, primarily focusing on free motion, but I am going to talk on walking foot quilting too, but primarily free motion, and I give you like the basic things you need. One of them is to have, oh, I forgot to show that. Let me put this up here so I don't forget, is to have a panel of some sort. So, and hopefully you have more than one panel, because for the whole month, if you keep practicing, you're going to, use up your panel really quickly. So if you've got a couple of panels, otherwise you can, dig into some maybe quilt tops you're not so crazy about after you, do a panel. But we're going to start on a panel, and you pick a panel that you like, and so the article will give you links to panels to look at. So this is the butterfly one, and then I had the Paris one with the Eiffel Tower. I'll just show you part of it. There's part of the Eiffel Tower. And then the big dream guys with the big flower in the middle. So a lot of you want to try this one because you've seen them done. There's half of it. So the dream panel is really spectacular once it's quilted. Here, I'll open it up. I'll open that one up. I just can't always reach around. There we go. So there's the dream panel, which will be really great to work on. It will give you a lot of place to practice. If you're feeling like, well, you're just so new, think of these panels. These panels do not cost that much, so they are going to be your practice piece. But I know, raise your hand if this is you. I know some of you need a practice piece for your practice piece, because I've seen this with teaching for the last 20 years. I don't know how many people I have them bring something to practice on, and then they pull out other stuff that they don't even set up properly and try to practice on it. And it's not even set up with the proper stuff. And of course it's not working because it's not done properly. And then I'm like, well, why aren't you using the sample that we're going to make? Oh, because I got to test before I do the sample. No. But if you are one of those people, you know who you are. Then get a few squares of fabric. It could be any fabric, because these will be your practice before your practice pieces. What is this? This is like, 15 by 15, 20 by 20. So 20 by 20 is good, whatever. If you've got fat quarters, it can be anything, but don't get like your junkiest fabric that's hard or open weave, because that's not what you're going to normally quilt on. You need fabric like you normally quilt on. I actually keep a piece. Here's a small one. I keep this, which actually has quilting on it. It happens to be red thread. There, you can see it. But I use this as a warm-up. So if I need to practice, here's something. To the flower. If I just need to jump on because I haven't maybe free motioned in a little while, I want to be sure the tension looks okay, I pull this out. It lives in the bottom drawer. I have a couple of these in the bottom drawer over here, and I just pull them out and do a little bit of warm-up. So I always have these things. Now, I'll say this again later. You'll hear it again. But if you're a person who has to have a finished project for every single thing you ever do in your life, When you're done, practicing on this, you can just either, zigzag the edges or bind it if you really must, and then use it as a cloth to like wipe the table or a dust cloth or something. Most of us will just toss them, like after you do, like you fill it up with stuff, you just get rid of it, and then you start on a new one, and you then get rid of that. But I know some people just can't do that, so think of them as dust cloths, okay? But you're going to need a little square like that anyways, because testing tension you don't want to do right on your project. You need to do a little bit of warm-up. As free motion quilting in particular takes a practice. So the more you do it, the better you get, and the more you do it, the closer you do it, the better you get. So like if you were trying to learn to drive a car and you took one lesson and then you didn't get in a car again for 9 months, you probably won't have remembered everything. That's pretty much the way free motion quilting is. You have to do stuff day after day after day. That's why we're going to spend the entire month of June, and hopefully every single day you will sit down to the machine and free motion every day. And I will have you be sure you keep your first day and check it to your last day, because you will see a huge change, because you will start to build all that mind memory motion, and it will be fabulous. So that is what we'll be doing. I'm like your cheerleader. I'll be giving you assignments. I'll be doing different things to keep us moving, keep us working. But that is the base plan, is to free motion every single day on something. Now, if you need patchwork, maybe you're not a fan of panels, like these things don't really excite you at all, or you don't have them and you don't want to purchase them, that's fine. You can use a quilt. Like I have, here's some blocks from my Bonnie Lane that I have yet to put into a top or a table runner or something, but there are these great big blocks. And I have a link to the pattern below. And there's actually some kits for these left. But these I could set into like 4 blocks and have a nice sort of table mat or wall hanging, and that gives me blocks to work on. And if you have already done a lot of free motion and you're basically looking to spend the month moving your skills to the next level or perfecting parts of your skills you already have, you might want to get some big patchwork blocks, or any kind of patchwork, or a top that you don't worry about. Like you're like, I don't really care so much if what happens with that top. I'm okay trying a lot of stuff on it. You probably don't want something super big for your June challenge project. I prefer that you keep it a little bit smaller so that you're not also wrestling with size, because size and bulk of the quilt is a whole avenue that you have to learn how to handle. You just have to learn how to deal with that. And if you're new and you're already trying to deal with everything else, keep it small. That's why the panels, like even the dream panel, is not too big to size-wise to start. It's just not too big. And so that is where we're going. That is the goal. That's where we're going. Okay, let me put these guys back here, because we will talk. I'll be talking. What is today? Today's the 18th. Probably between now and June, I will talk about this a bit more. It's sort of like prep, getting ready for the game. gotta get it going. So getting our mind ready. And of course, if you want to practice any time before that, you certainly can. There's no law that says you can't start now. So the link to the things that we're doing basic. We're not going into anything fancy at all in June. The link is below the video. While you're there, subscribe. Thank you. And click the like button too. YouTube likes to see that you've watched the video and interacted with me. Gives me brownie points. And also on that same link, is going on a picnic. All the details for that. And here's what I forgot to show you when I was showing you my rainbow blocks. I have got this whole section pieced. So yay! And I've started the other side. So this is down, however, many, what is that, like 2? Yeah, this is 2 for the left side, yeah. And then I have the next section I've started. But I want to get more of the green so that I can mix them up, because I'm doing 2 at a time. So I have to spread them out. And so it takes me a little longer to get to a section. So that's what's going on with the rainbows. And I did promise 2 things yesterday. Well, maybe I promised. Did I promise them? I don't know. Okay, I said for my reboot, I was going to look at these butterfly blocks. And honestly, when I laid them all out, I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. I really should make them a quilt. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, I may have to totally resist that thought because, I'm not sure that right now in my life, that's where I want to put my effort. And that's what you have to think about. So I have enough to do like 2 blocks. So this is, like I was playing around with them, alternating like this. Let me do it like that so you can see it. There we go. There we go. And then, so this is how they are coming together. And then, then there's another group of them back here, but they really look good. These are my Bonnie Lane. These are all my Bonnie Lane fabrics. So I'm debating. Now I'm debating because originally I thought, what, I am just going to sew these up. And they don't really make anything. They're just 2 blocks. Well, there's one more row of them, and then that would be 1 block, a 3x3. The other thing, too, is I found I had all of these in like the greens and the blues, and then I had like 1 pink because I'd sort of dug into the next colors for Bonnie Lane, which there's some peach in there and some of the orange. And this pinky color, so I'm like thinking, well, maybe I would just do the whole quilt like this. That would look really, really nice. So now I'm back to thinking about it. And that's what happens. That's what happens. I don't know. I may just, what I need to do is look at what I'm sewing while I'm sewing other things, because I just finished the project that I was doing. Traffic jam. Look, 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 look. Border, border, borders all the way around. Borders at the top, borders on the side. Yes, and there's one at the bottom if I can scoot over this. Can you see it? Yep, yep. Borders, borders, borders. And that is a size enough that I can put it over here where I do the other filming. When I usually have like the rainbow behind me or the glow quilt, that's where I stand on that side. And I think it can go over there. I do believe it is going to go to the spa though to be quilted, because if it goes into my pile of things to be quilted, it may be there a long time. And I would like to have it quilted. So I think it will go off to the spa and then hopefully come back and go hang in my studio here. And these blocks from yesterday, well, it was a good try. I got them out, I looked at them, and I decided that I still like them. So what I have to do is, now that this quilt that I sew when I'm doing other things is done, I would sew those 2 squares at a time while I was sewing other projects as the start and the end. What I need to do is figure out, what project do I really want to do? I have a bunch of them sort of in process. Like this is not very far along. I have other ones that are much further along, like the Scrap Happy Stars. I don't think I have a whole lot more where I can start putting that into a quilt, or at least start sewing the rows together. Maybe. I have a red and white checkerboard. So I am going to take some time to analyze that, because I don't want to just, I want to do something that I can move forward, because I have a lot of these kind of things that I get started and they're cute, and then, I do a little bit like that, and then I get working on another project and I don't get back to them. Anybody else like that? Yeah. Shiny objects, but you know, that's the way it is. Speaking of new projects, whee! This is from, what day was it that we did it? This was Take It on the Run. This was the 16th. That was, what was that? Saturday. This was Saturday. And what is this? Yes, let me show you. You'll recognize the table runner with the celery green and the yellow. Here's the little teapots. Whoops. Here's the teapot fabric. Teacups, coffee cups. Yes. So what I did is I got these made because I am starting to pull out green and yellow quilts to do like my living room and sort of like more springy feel. And what I did is I decided to cut all these on the die cut machine. So here is the die for the Gemini die cut. So put my hand behind it so you can see a little better. Oh, I'll just do it down here. Come down here. I have talked about my die cut machine a lot, just not recently. So if you're with me recently, you may have not heard about it. But I use a Gemini die cut machine. And these are the dies, which are very different than if you're using some of the other machines on the market that have pretty thick dies. These dies have a little ridge. Can you see the ridge there? And this side's flat. See how that side's flat? And then when I turn it over, this side actually, there, this side has like a ridge in it. And what that does is it goes on top of the fabric and it goes to this roll your machine and it pushes it and it presses and cuts through the fabric. And what I get when I use this, here, let me get one that we can see good. So this is what it pressed out, is the perfect shape. And I don't have to do anything but sew the seam. So I don't have to trim anything. Whoops, sorry. I don't have to trim anything. It presses it out, and I could do 6 layers at a time. Sometimes I can do 8 unless it's like a thicker fabric. You know, sometimes some fabrics are a little bit thicker, but 6 is good. And then all I have to do is, because all the little dog ears are already cut off, there's it's square on the end, then there's no dog ears. So this is what I did, is I did all of these and then sewed them. So these are all the triangles for my zigzag table runner. So now I just have to cut these apart and press them and then lay out the order and make my table runner. And so it will be super fast to put it together. And I'll be giving it a status this week. Yeah, because I will keep working. I will keep working on it. So excited. This is the best. This strings of triangles, like, they're so cute. I love them. And look what I found. I found this piece of stripe that will be the binding, and it is really good color match. And I think if I just am very frugal when I cut it, I will have enough. I know I'll have enough, but I have to be very frugal. You know, I can't be doing a wide border, a wide binding on it at all. So that guy is ready to go. So happy about that. And because we're in green mode, I thought I grabbed, oh, here, I even got a beige. So because we're in green mode, if I actually had my new Morris Lane fabric in already, I would do a table runner in that. So I thought I would show you the green. Here are the green pieces from Morris Park, my new fabric line from Benartex, which will be out in the stores like probably, I would say, early October. But here I have the 3 green pieces, and wouldn't they look fabulous as a table runner with the cream color that goes. The paisley, the little scattered flowers, and the dot. So I had to pull these out and show you them. So you can ask your favorite quilt shop to order these, and they can have them for you when they come in October. And I will definitely be making stuff, lots of stuff. I'm building also a page on my website, I'm adding to the page on my website. It's already there for my fabric. I have a fabric page, and you can see all my fabric lines I've done over the many years. And so I just started adding Morrison Park, and I put the two videos, the one that Benertex did and the one that I did for the other day where I showed you during the challenge. So I put them there, and I'll link all that below so you can get them down below here. Couple more things. What do I got? Okay, I had a question. On, are we still going to do the project from the Vintage Christmas? Yes, that project is Bring Home the Quilt. Here we go. Here, I'll just hold it like that. Bring Home the Quilt. I'm sorry. Got a quilt on my head, don't I? Bring Home the Christmas Tree. It's a quilt. Oh my goodness. So there it is. That is the quilt. And we will do it. I will have a limited number of kits. The Fat Quarter Shop is putting some kits together, but we are waiting on fabric. And so I won't start until the fabric comes. And I'm hoping for Christmas in July. And once I get a word on the status of the fabric, you know, everything is slower. We all have to be very patient. Things are not going to flow at the same, you know, process at the same rate that they had been. So, you know, people can't get into the factories to work, in the same number of people into the warehouses. So everything takes longer. But that's okay. If we have to do Christmas in August, totally fine. Totally fine. But aren't they cute? I picked a really sweet fabric line that's a little, you know, a little bit lighter color Christmas. I forget the name of it. It's Deer something. It's one of the Moda ones, and that's what the kit will be made out. And it is so cute. It is so cute. And what I'm also going to do, I forgot. I'll put the links down there, and they're also on my website. So that, you know, my Fireside Chat Mondays, I do a website page too. I am going to take one car and some trees and make a table runner. So if you don't want to make the whole thing during the sew along, you can just make the table runner. I'm going to look and see if there's a way to make a pillow. I mean, I'd have to make the pillow form, I think. I'll see what size that is. And that, I think one car pillow would be so cute. Don't you think that would be so cute? You could even just do the one car as a little wall hanging. But I'm thinking a table runner. So if you don't want to make the whole quilt, but you still want to sew along, get the book. Get the book so you're ready. You definitely have time. You can get it now, and then you can decide, you know, what you want to do. I also have stitching, cross stitching. Now okay, so here's my true confession, cross stitching confessions. And then I have a question to talk about that came in. Really good question. Okay, so here's what happened. On the second part, this is a mystery, that feels like home mystery, and here is the supply list. We got the third part now with the words, feels like home. I love that. I love words. But what does mine look like? Yeah, here's mine. I did not get my house done because what happened? I did not stitch on it every day. I didn't. I would go like, you know, most of the time between finishing the bird and the next one coming out, I only stitched for like maybe 2 days to do this. So here, I'm going to take my own rule. And I use this rule with everybody else who's doing a sew along, is that if for some reason the next thing comes out and you haven't done the prior 1, 2, 5, 15, start with the one that just came out. So what I'm going to do is start with the Feels Like Home. That is what I am going to start stitching on here. And then as I can, I'll go back and do the house. Because it is no fun to feel like you're always behind. If I do the words and I get them done before the next section comes out, yes, I will be so excited. And it will motivate me to get to work on the house too. The house is kind of fun because it's like straight stuff. You know, there's not a lot of onesies. There's a couple, but you know, I can do those big straightaways, those big blocks. So that's kind of fun. There you go. That is what's going on with my cross stitch. But this mystery is fun. You can still get in on it. You'll get the pattern. You'll get all these 3 parts, and then there's 2 more parts at the bottom. I think it's 2. Yeah, there's 5 for the month of May. Stitch Mania. It's cross stitcher thing. Yeah, it's crazy. They start 1 a day in May. 1 a day. I think Kimberly at the Fat Quarter Shop I think they have a team of people sharing what they started. Nuts. Those people are nuts. Okay. So what am I checking over here? I'll show you this first. We're doing the prize again from last week, which is like a backpack and thread and a journal and a charm pack and a cute little rotary thing, all at my website. So you go to the goodie bag part is at the end of my website. You go over there to put your name, leave a comment. So I want to be sure you do that. You don't forget about it, because I know that all of you that watch this have not gone over and left a comment. That's a fact. So I can see how many people watched it, how many people left comments. They're not the same number. So get on over there. So there's the question. We'll end with the question and answer today. So I have it written down over here. Michelle. And this is a really good question. And I am going to tell you how I think about answering these things and how you might think about answering questions like this for yourself. She wanted to know my thoughts on pre-washing and mixing pre-washed and not pre-washed for a project. So if you know that you pre-washed some, but you have other stuff that's not pre-washed. So let me give you a backstory, because I never just give an answer. I'm well known for like not answering the question exactly, and that's because I think because I come from a computer software background. You have to figure everything out yourself, and you need to understand why you're figuring it out. And if you're going from A to B, there might be 18 steps in between, or there might be 5. Just depends on the path you take. And so I'm always in the process of thinking through what are the whys and the reasons for the answer, because they vary. There isn't just one answer for anything. So here, do I mix, or do I have thoughts on mixing washed fabric and pre-washed fabric? Well, first of all, you've already know this part, so you know I've got a mix. You're going to make a project. What kind of project are you making? Are you making a project that will be heavily washed after it's done? Or a project that will probably hardly ever be washed after it's done? You know, it's a wall hanging, or are you making placemats, or are you making a cuddle quilt that's going to definitely get washed? So if you know what the purpose of the project is. So then you think to yourself, okay, so now I know I've got a mix of washed and pre-washed. What is the type of project? So I know the type of project, whether it will get a lot of washing or not. So if you have a project that's not going to get a lot of washing, what is the logical answer? It's not really going to matter. If you're rarely, or if you're never going to wash it because it's a wall hanging, and you might just throw it in the dryer to get the dust off of it every so often, then it doesn't matter, washed and pre-washed. But if you have a quilt that you're going to be washing a lot, then you have to decide. If you don't pre-wash, you have an option at this point to pre-wash, I guess, because you haven't started cutting. So if you do not pre-wash and something bleeds, are you okay with that? What if it bleeds a little bit? Yeah, you're okay with that. What if it bleeds a lot? What if you have a red and it bleeds so much that it turns all the other stuff pink toned, or a navy that turns everything light blue? Are you okay with that? Are you willing to take the risk? Or at this point, before you cut up your unwashed fabric, do you think maybe you want to wash it so that you have an option and know that it won't be bleeding? So that's how I think through things. It isn't like a black and white. There is no black and white answer. It's not a yes or a no. It's more the purpose and the outcome, and what are you willing to deal with, and how important is it for you. I would say that if you're somebody who washes a lot of quilts, you probably should pre-wash all your fabric, just because you eliminate the possibility you almost eliminate. Not necessarily all. Unless you use chemicals to reset the dyes, you don't eliminate all by pre-washing, because sometimes certain fabrics need set with chemicals to really be sure that the excess dyes don't escape. So it's a thing. Most quilt shop fabrics are pretty solid. They don't bleed, but some do. So you have to make a decision. Is it worth it or not worth it to take the chance? So I hope that helped you see a little bit about how I think about things. Love to know how you process questions like that. Do you just sort of have a set answer, or when you are looking at something and trying to make a decision on where you want to go with it, do you walk through a set of criteria? Or is it just me? Maybe I'm the only one that does that. Okay, my friend, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending Monday night with me if you're watching this during my premiere. If you're watching it later, thank you for taking your time and spending it with me. And I will see you online. If you're at Facebook, it's Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. Mwah. I love you. Mwah.